Hey, I'm Tony Lee. Welcome to Hot Flasher, your daily menopause podcast. Every weekday, my co-host Nikki breaks down the latest research, shares real stories, and talks about the stuff nobody warned us about. If you've got a story of your own, whether you're in perimenopause, right in the thick of it, or on the other side, head to hotflasher.com/share, and you might be featured in an upcoming episode. Here's Nikki.
Thanks, Tony. We've got some real surprises today. I'm Nikki, and if you've been dutifully doing your Kegels thinking you're being the perfect menopause warrior, well, we need to talk. Because it turns out those exercises we've all been told are the gold standard for pelvic floor health. They might actually be making things worse for some of us during menopause. I know. I had the same reaction when I saw this research. For years, Kegels have been the go-to answer for everything from stress incontinence to that lovely feeling that your insides are going to fall out. But research suggests that for many menopausal women, Kegels can actually create more tension and dysfunction in an already stressed pelvic floor. Dr. Lara Bryden, a naturopathic doctor who specializes in women's health, explains it like this. Imagine your pelvic floor muscles are like a trampoline. During menopause, declining estrogen makes that trampoline less elastic and more rigid. When you do traditional Kegels on an already tight, inflexible pelvic floor, you're essentially making it even tighter. It's like trying to tune a guitar string that's already wound too tight eventually. Something's going to snap. What's really fascinating is that many women experiencing pelvic floor issues during menopause actually have hypertonic dysfunction. That's fancy talk for muscles that are too tight, not too loose. These women don't need strengthening exercises. They need to learn how to relax and lengthen those muscles. So what should you do instead? Well, yoga poses that focus on gentle stretching and breathing can be incredibly effective. Happy baby pose, where you lie on your back and hold the outsides of your feet, creates gentle traction on the pelvic floor. Deep squat holds help lengthen the muscles while improving circulation. Cat-cow stretches mobilize the entire pelvic region. And child's pose with wide knees allows the pelvic floor to fully release. The key is breathing. When you inhale, your pelvic floor should gently expand and lower. When you exhale, it should lift naturally. Most of us have been taught to clench and hold, but that's not how healthy pelvic floors actually function. Now, speaking of things happening in our bodies that we can't see, researchers at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory just published something that absolutely blew my mind. They created the most detailed map ever of how breast tissue changes during menopause. We're talking about tracking individual cells, 3 million of them. What they found explains so much about why breast cancer risk increases after menopause. And it's not just about hormones the way we thought. As estrogen levels drop, the cellular structure of breast tissue fundamentally reorganizes itself. The protective barriers between different types of cells start breaking down. Immune cells that normally patrol for problems become less effective. Even the way fat cells behave changes. Dr. Camila dos Santos, who led this research, described it as watching a well-organized neighborhood slowly lose its structure. The neat boundaries between different cell communities start to blur, and that creates opportunities for problematic cells to grow unchecked. What really struck me is that this isn't happening because something's going wrong. This is just what menopause does. Our bodies are literally rebuilding themselves at the cellular level, and breast tissue is one of the most dramatically affected areas. The research suggests this cellular reorganization might be why hormone replacement therapy has such complex effects on breast cancer risk. It's not just about adding hormones back, It's about how those hormones interact with tissue that's already in the process of fundamental change. This doesn't mean we should panic about our breasts, but it does reinforce why paying attention to breast health becomes even more important during menopause. Regular self-exams, mammograms, and being aware of changes in how your breasts look and feel, all of that matters more now because the cellular landscape is shifting. And while we're talking about cellular changes, let's address something that's literally written all over our faces. Skin changes during menopause. Dr. Marnie Nussbaum, a dermatologist in New York, recently explained why menopause doesn't just cause wrinkles, it creates a specific type of skin aging that's different from what happens with sun exposure or just getting older. During menopause, we lose about 30% of our skin's collagen in the first 5 years. But it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. The collagen we do have becomes less organized, more fragmented. Think of it like the difference between a tightly woven fabric and one where the threads are starting to separate. Estrogen also affects how our skin retains moisture and repairs itself. Without adequate estrogen, our skin barrier becomes more permeable, which means water escapes more easily and environmental irritants get in more readily. That's why so many of us suddenly develop sensitive skin during menopause, even if we never had issues before. Dr. Nussbaum points out that the skin changes happen in layers. The epidermis, that's the outermost layer, becomes thinner and more fragile. The dermis underneath loses elastin and collagen. Even the hypodermis, the deepest fat layer, changes composition and thickness. What I found particularly interesting is that facial skin ages differently than body skin during menopause. Facial skin has more hormone receptors, so it's more dramatically affected by estrogen decline. That explains why the face often shows menopause-related aging more quickly than other areas. The good news? Research suggests that ingredients like retinoids, vitamin C, and certain peptides can help support skin during this transition. Face oils rich in essential fatty acids can help restore barrier function. And consistent use of broad-spectrum sunscreen becomes even more critical because menopausal skin is more vulnerable to UV damage. But honestly, what strikes me most about all of this research is how much our bodies are accomplishing during menopause. We're not just losing hormones, we're reorganizing ourselves at the cellular level. Our pelvic floors are adapting to new hormonal realities. Our breast tissue is restructuring itself. Our skin is learning to function differently. Maybe instead of seeing these changes as problems to solve, we can start recognizing them as evidence of just how sophisticated our bodies really are. That doesn't mean we ignore symptoms or skip treatments that help us feel better, but it might mean approaching menopause with a little more respect for the complexity of what's actually happening. So tomorrow, maybe try one of those yoga poses instead of your usual Kegels. Pay attention to how your skin feels and what it might need. And remember that every change you're experiencing is part of an incredibly intricate biological process. What surprised you most about today's episode? I'm curious, have any of you noticed that Kegels seem to make your pelvic floor issues worse rather than better?
Thanks for listening to Hot Flasher. We're back tomorrow with more, so don't forget to subscribe. See you tomorrow.